My question is, was there a difference in impact between a WCW ring and a WWE ring? I ask because anytime someone would bump on the WCW ring, the audio always gave a really dry, flat sound compared to a WWE ring that to me had more of a bright snap sound. Thanks a million, and y'all be careful out there. Yeah, that's a good question. Well, Steven, I tell you what, back in the days when I was in WCW, man, that was a real good bumping ring. And if my memory serves correct, that was an 18 by 18 foot ring, and it was just enough room you could move around real well. And it wasn't, it was a mid-range size ring. Looked good on TV, not too big. You didn't blow up in it, and you got used to it. And as far as bumping goes, man, that thing just had a great feel to it. You always want to land flat when you take a bump, but it was a good bumping ring, and you could, do just about anything you wanted to do. And as long as you was landing flat, you were cool. And then all of a sudden, I remember I got the call and got to go to WWF, and all of a sudden I got up there, and it was like, holy shit, what is going on here? These motherfucking rings are harder than a rock. The WWF rings were stiffer than fuck. I remember when I first went up there, and I was like, man, I was kind of, a snapback bump type worker, quick, fast bumps. And that was kind of my trademark. And all of a sudden, you start rattling your fucking cabeza in the ring on the road with the WWF, and all of a sudden, your spine starts getting all fucked up. Your vertebrae get all fucked up. It was a hell of a wake-up call, and I think that was due to the fact, I think it really came from the era before me, when Hulk Hogan and all those other big guys were running through there. There was so much weight in the ring. For a while, they kind of had that trampoline-style ring, and I don't think Vince liked the way that looked on TV. It just didn't look legit, didn't look good for camera. And so they built those stiff-ass rings that looked great, but when you took a bump, felt like shit. So anyway, guys were getting smoked left and right, and we were bumping on them things for several years. And finally, I guess, I don't know what the technology is to build a squared circle, but there's more to it than it looks, because it just looks like a steel frame with a bunch of 2x12s with a cunt hair's worth of pad, and then a mat or a tarp over the top of it with 3 ropes. But there's a little bit more science involved in it, and they finally softened up those rings a little bit, and I think those rings they got right now probably real good bumping rings. But those ones in WCW had a real good sweet spot right there in the center, and that's where you want to do, your hardest bumps or your biggest bumps. You can bump anywhere along the ring you want, but you always find a sweet spot in that ring, and it's generally the center. Now, back in the day when I first went to WWF, and I might have still been working as a ringmaster, I don't recall, but I do recall, I was working with Aldo Montoya, Justin Credible, and Jake the Snake Roberts was his manager. And we were working these little, we call them tent towns, where we go kind of set up a tent or whatever the deal was in that Boston area and all those small towns over there. And the ring we were working in was a 16-footer. Holy shit, when you work in a 16-footer, you can glide across the thing. Basically, in a big ring, it's about a 3-step deal, and then you hit the ropes and rebound. You're always taking 3 steps. But on a 16-foot ring, you damn near cross the ring in 2 steps. It's hard to blow up in a 16-footer. If you blow up in a 16-footer, there's something wrong with your ass. You need to get on a treadmill or do some road work. And the thing about those 16-foot rings, you talk about a trampoline, and they had this great sound to them when you hit. It just, that echo was just so sweet, and just like a cymbal hitting or something on a drum kit, a rim hit. It just sounded great. It sounded like the guy was just getting smoked and devastated every time he hit the damn mat. And so anyway, I always loved working with Aldo Montoya. He's a damn good worker, great guy, knew his shit, could sell his ass off. And I was out there, and I did a deal. I don't know how many times I suplexed him. It was about 12, 15, 16 times in a row. And it was basically a rib, just regular vertical suplexes. And I'd look over at Jake before every single one. He goes, I'm doing this one for you. And Jake would be over there because he was in on it. He knew it was a rib. And he goes, no. He goes, don't do it again. Don't do it again. And, of course, as soon as I suplexed Justin, he'd take it. arches back and sell the shit out of it, and Jake would be selling it just as much over there because it was really painful for him to seemingly watch me destroy the back of Justin Incredible. It was absolute total horseshit. The crowd bought it hook, line, and sinker. It was a great day at the office. But anyway, those rings, 20 foot is probably my favorite. It takes you a while to get adjusted to a 20-footer, but once you do, you never really want to go back to an 18-footer or 16-footer. You just have so much more space to work around, sell, tell your story, move. You don't have to, it's, your ring position is a little more forgiving because in a 20-foot squared circle, obviously, you can be somewhere and not be as close to the ropes. So that's one of the things I always liked about them. But, yeah, you are correct on the sound. That's kind of the way it went down. And that's how the rings, to me, felt. And if you ask any of my contemporaries back in the day, they might echo my same sentiments or have a better recollection of it. But after being hit in the head with steel chairs all these damn years, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.